let me know. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah salawatullahi wassalamuhu alayhi amma ba'd. Every Muslim should know the importance of reverencing, revering, and respecting any and everyone from Ahlul Bayt. Not just the people who are directly from the household of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but even people who are not, from his household during his time, like people who are from Ahlul Bayt right now, and they're really from Ahlul Bayt from wherever. It is a religious duty to look at them with respect because of the connection that they have to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it's a religious issue. So we have some people who claim that they're from Ahlul Bayt. Inshallah, they are. If we know someone is from Ahlul Bayt, even if he's not from the companions or from those who are around the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we still should respect those individuals. The hadith of the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kullu sababin wa nasabin munqati'un yawm al-qiyamah ila ma kana min sababi wa nasabi. Yawm al-qiyamah, everyone's lineage is going to not benefit, it's going to be cut off. يوم يفر المرء من أبيه وأمه وبنيه. Everybody is going to run from his mother and his father يوم القيامة. So who you're related to is not going to benefit you. Children will want to ransom and abandon their fathers and mothers, and vice versa. The mother and the fathers, they make it tabarra'una from their kids. But this hadith said that all ties and relationships will be of no benefit Yawm al-Qiyamah, except those ties and relationships that come as a result of me. So if a person is connected to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's going to have some special qualities, because Yawm al-Qiyamah, the Prophet is going to make shifa for people, and no doubt he'll make shifa for his relatives who are Muslims. And that's why Umar radiyallahu anhu, he tried to marry from the household of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that he will have a special connection, although he himself was already the father-in-law of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That his daughter Umar's daughter Hafsa was his wife. But Hafsa, Abu Umar wanted to marry from Rasulullah's nasab. So what did he do? He asked Ali ibn Abi Talib to marry him to his daughter, so that he could be connected to the household of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's from the many adillah in our religion to show the importance of Ahlul Bayt. We just finished praying Salat al-Isha. And in the Salat al-Isha, it is legislated for every Muslim around the globe 5 times every day, at least, to those who are praying from amongst us, to send the salawat and the salams on the Ahlul Bayt of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad, kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim, innaka hamidun majid. That's in every single prayer that we make. We make those durood al-sharif. It should be pointed out that some of the scholars of Islam said the family of Muhammad is talking about his family members, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the majority of the ulama say this durood al-sharif is not just for his family members. This is for any and everybody who's from his ummah, because a person's his family, are those who follow him. And that's mentioned in a number of ayat of the Quran. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا ويوم تقوم الساعة أدخلوا آل فرعون أشد العذاب. The people who follow the followers, not the family, just the family, because one of the family members of Pharaoh, who was Asiya, radiallahu anha, she's in the Jannah. So this ayah said that the followers of Fir'aun, every single day, they will be faced and confronted with the fire in their grave as adhab, the adhab of the qabr. And then Yawm al-Qiyamah, all of the Fir'aun, the followers of Fir'aun, will be put in ashadd al-adhab, in more punishment. So there's the ayat that goes to show that the al of a person is his followers as well. But on the qawl and the statement and the tafsir of those people who say that this talk about the Ahlul Bayt, shows the virtues that every single day we're making dua for the people who are connected to his household, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And no doubt from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are his wives. His wives. And he died and he was married to 11 from amongst them. He married other women and he divorced them, but when he died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were 11 women that he died and they were under his supervision and under his isma, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. So they're mentioned in the Quran in a number of ayat showing their special places. Now it's important for us to remember, and I'm sure you do, inshallah, that in our Sunnah class, the fundamentals of the Sunnah for Ahlul Sunnah, for Ahlul Hadith, for the people who follow the Salaf of this Ummah, Ridwanullah alayhim, was the first thing that Imam Ahmed mentioned. He said, Sunnah to us, the fundamentals of the Sunnah for us, Ahlul Hadith, people who follow the Sunnah, first one he mentioned is following the companions and imitating and emulating what they were upon. So the companions have a special position. Now those people from his Ahlul Bayt have a special position because they're companions and they're also from his family members that Allah mentioned specifically. He mentioned them in general ayat that include all of the companions, and then Allah also mentioned his wives, especially in ayat that are specific and peculiar to them. Like he mentioned to them and about them, Ya nisa al-nabi, lastunna ka ahadin min al-nisa, in ittaqaytunna, ya wives of the Nabi, you are not like any of the other women. You're not like any other women. It's an ayah addressing them, the wives and the daughters of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He mentioned in the Quran, وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَ تَبَرُّجِ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. You wives of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam should stay in your homes and don't make the display like the times of the Jahiliyyah. Those are two ayat that are peculiar, specifically mentioning them, and no one else other than them. No one else other than them. A number of ayat. وَاذْكُرْنَ مَا يُتْلَى عَلَيْكُنَّ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ مِنْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ. You wives of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you should mention to the people what is being read to you from the ayat of Allah when you hear him reading the Quran, and also from what he teaches you, the Sunnah, and so forth and so on. So the shahidu min al-kalam, the point here is that the Ahlul Bayt of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they occupy and they have a special position. We are not from the people who curse Ahlul Bayt. There are a group of people who do that. So you have two extremes with Ahlul Bayt. One extreme are the people who are the Rafida of Iran, Iraq, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Lebanon, these places like this. People who have ghulu, and they go overboard in Ahlul Bayt. If one of them is in trouble, something is happening, they'll say, Ya Ali al-Madid, Ya Hussein, help us with this. Astaghithuka Ya Hussein, Ya Abbas. They'll call on the Prophet's uncle. And I saw a video like that, where some people who are of that maslak and that madhab, when they thought the plane was crashing, they were calling out Ali. They were calling out Al-Abbas. They were calling out Al-Hussein. But if a Muslim is in that situation, he's going to say, Ya Allah, help us, save us. But that's the religion of those people. The other extreme group in Ahlul Bayt are the Nasiba. So you have the Rafida and you have the Nasiba. The Nasiba are the people who did not like Ahlul Bayt. They talk bad about them. They put them down. They make takfir of them. They free themselves from them. And they have a severe hatred for the wives and the household of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But Ahlul Sunnah, the real Ahlul Sunnah, the Muslim, is the one who is in the middle. We acknowledge, we appreciate the people from Ahlul Bayt, especially from his household, from the companions, who include clearly his wives, his children. They include Al-Abbas, his uncle, Hamza, his uncle, all of those people, Jafar, Ibn Abi, all of those people from Ahlul Bayt. And like the brother read in the Salah today, the believers, all of them believe in the book and what's been revealed to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They believe in the messengers, they believe in the books, they believe in all of that. And then Allah said, "La nufarriqu bayna ahadin min rasuli." We don't make any distinction between his messengers, not like that, where there are those people who accept some of the messengers and reject others. They accept all of the messages, but they reject Isa Muhammad, or they reject Muhammad alone. No, we accept and love all of the Ahlul Bayt during his time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and now during this time. So we were having a discussion. I was mentioned to the brothers today at Dhuhr time. This issue I remember in the month of Ramadan in this masjid, we went over teaching the people who were here that particular night the names of the 11 wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because of the importance of it. The knowledge of Al-Islam is like an ocean that has no shores whatsoever. There is a lot of information to be had and to be gotten. And we have to prioritize that information. Some of it is more important than others. And some of that information, it is more befitting that we know it than others. There's information that should not go by and pass us by. Like, who are the 11 wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Does anybody here remember, or were you present the day that we did that in the month of Ramadan? And do you remember? You remember? You forgot. Were you here? You forgot Abdul Ghani? You forgot. You forgot. I'm sorry. You didn't forget. You remember. Alhamdulillah. The name. Well, in that way of learning and this particular issue, I'm telling you, the way you won't forget is to teach people who are connected to you. Because if we were to ask our wives, our children, or just the average Muslim, who are the 11 wives of the Nabi of Al-Islam, our mothers, as Allah mentioned again in another ayat of the Quran concerning them, النبي أولى بالمؤمنين من أنفسهم وأزواجه أمهاتهم. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is closer to the believers than their own selves. He cares about us more than we care about our own selves. He cares about our children more than we care about our children. He cares about the members of this masjid more than the admin cares about the members of this masjid or any masjid. Rasulullah cares more about what's going on in Palestine and what's happening to those Muslims more than the Palestinian people who are not in Palestine are worried about what's going on with their country and their relatives. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So therefore the ayah said, he's closer to the believers in their own selves, and his wives are their mothers. So therefore the companions, Radwanullah alayhim, when they used to address them, they would address them by saying, Ya al Mu'mineen, Ya al-Mu'mineen, O mother of the believers. When he died, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, none of his companions tried to marry his families. But when the other companions died, other companions married their widowed wives. They married their ex-wives. That happened. No one can marry his mother. She's the first person who's mentioned, حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ أُمَّهَاتُكُمْ. First person you can't marry out of those people, you can't marry your mothers. So they couldn't marry the Nabi's wife after him because they're the Ummahatul Mu'mineen. And when the Khawarij, when they came out and they wanted to fight against Ali ibn Abi Talib, they said in criticizing Ali that one of the reasons they wanted to fight him is because Ali did not take prisoners of war. When he had the battle of the Jamal, of the camel, and he defeated Aisha's group from the companions, Ali won. And he didn't take Aisha as a slave, as a captive. So the Khawarij who were with him, they were breaking away from him after fighting with him in that battle. They said, he's a kafir. When Abdullah ibn Abbas was debating him, he said, why do you say that? They said this and this and that. One of the reasons they said, because he doesn't take the spoils of war. He didn't take the women to be the slaves. Abdullah ibn Abbas thought it was insane what they were saying. He said, do you mean to tell me you believe it's permissible for you to take Aisha as a slave in war, as a right-hand possession? He said, if you believe that, then you go outside of Islam if you believe that. That's why he didn't take her, because he didn't take them as slaves. They were companions who made ijtihad. They're not from the Khawarij. They were trying to do the right thing. And he fought them and he defeated them and he won. But in winning, he sent Aisha back to Al-Medina. May Allah be pleased with him. So the point here is, his wives have a special position. We're going to go over this thing once again, Ikhwani, and it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. Even if a lot of time, it's not even been a year. Even if a whole year goes by, you still will remember it if you just remember the formula and you taught your kids, you taught your family, whoever they happen may be. But let me see. We'll just do it together very quickly, inshallah. Very, very quickly. For each and every wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, something is known about the Zawaj. For each and every one of them, how the nikah happened, or what was the dowry, or something that happened in the seerah that tells you she was a wife. And I mentioned that to say we're going to eliminate Maria, the Coptic, from the wives of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam because she was from the right hand possessions. She was from what his right hand possessed. And she was the mother of Ibrahim, and she got her freedom like that because she delivered a baby while she was a captive, and she became a free woman as a result of that. You don't know anything about her marriage because there was never a marriage. What was the dowry? When was the nikah? Who was her wali? What happened? None of that is there. But what we do know from the authentic seerah and the books of al-hadith is that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was gifted Maria by the Muqawqas of Egypt, the leader of Egypt, who gave her to him as a hadiyah, as a gift, along with a baghal, akramakumullah. So she wasn't his wife. Wala karama. We don't apologize for that. We mentioned to you the 11 wives that he was married to, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not in chronological order, but just in a way to memorize. The first three we mentioned is Khadija, Aisha, and Hafsa. Everybody knows those three. Everyone knows those three. We know their nikah. We know something about the marriage. Khadija is the first wife. Aisha is the second wife. He married her when she was very young. And Hafsa is his third wife. Abu Bakr and Umar, the fathers of Aisha and Hafsa, were his two best friends and two best people in this ummah after the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So those are the first three. Khadija, Aisha, and Hafsa. I'm going to say it and you guys going to say it, inshallah. And we're going to zoom through this because it's really easy. And inshallah, this is a refresh of your memory. I'm going to say it. Khadija, Aisha, Hafsa. Go ahead. The next two, this is not chronological order. He married them in this order. No, it's not like that. But it's just for you to remember. The next two, their kunya is more known than their actual name. So both of them is known as somebody, somebody. So the first one is Habiba. And the second one is Salama. Habiba and Salama. And we told you that time you have to remember it that way. You can remember Salama, Habiba if you want. But if you memorize it, Habiba, Salama, leave Salama second. So that you can remember the 6th and 7th one. So it's Khadija, Aisha, Hafsa. And then there's Habiba, Salama. Habiba, Salama. I'll say, you say it. Habiba, Salama. And don't say Salama, Salama. Habiba is Ramla, the daughter of Abu Sufyan. And Salama is Hind. Hind was a tremendous companion. Her husband was married to her, Abu Salama, and he was Prophet Muhammad's brother from nursing. He was his brother from nursing. Abu Salama, her ex-husband who died, along with Rasulullah, were brothers from Ar-Rada'ah. And when her husband died, she was distraught. She thought it was the end of the world because her husband had died. And she came and said, Ya Rasulullah, Abu Salama has died. That's it, it's done. And she was overwhelmed with grief. And he taught her dua, Allahumma akhlifni fi musibati. Oh Allah, give me something better. Give me something to replace what I've lost. He said, say that dua. She said, there's no one better than Abu Salama. But she was distraught. Rasulullah is better than Abu Salama. Abu Bakr is better than Abu Salama. Umar, Uthman, Ali, they're all better than she knows that, but she wasn't thinking like that. Which again is a dalil and a proof that when people go through extreme musibas, they're not always thinking. They may say something that they shouldn't say. That's one of the many proofs. She said, no one's better than Abu Salama. You could say that that's kufr. I got to mention this. That fitna that happened recently with the brother who has been accused of some abominations and some really serious accusations from the FBI and all of that stuff like that. They're accusations. This terrible stuff, accusations. One of the things that he was criticized for doing and saying was, if you do these things, which are haram and from the kaba'ir, if you do these things, they will help you to get closer to Allah. You guys heard that, right? He said that. In order to get the person to do those things, it is alleged that he said, now if you do these lewd acts, they will help you to be in communion and get closer to Allah. So there was a person who said, this is kufr. This is kufr. To tell someone that a haram act will help you to get close to Allah because you're making halal with Allah and made haram. But the person's niyyah has to be in the equation. So we have to be careful about saying that that brother is a non-Muslim. If those allegations are true, it's from its desires. Someone tells someone to do this and do that, it's haram, and you get close to Allah. I can't see a real Muslim saying that and really believing that. But someone who wants to make istighlal and take advantage of people, he may say that. So don't put people outside of the religion. Bi'ainihi. What is that again? Bi'ainihi. Like the specific person who fell into that until you find out. What do you mean by that? So when Salama said, there's no one better than Abu Salama, she just wasn't thinking. Khadija, Aisha, Hafsa, Habiba, Salama. Now I'm going to say it, you're going to say it. Khadija, Aisha, Hafsa, Habiba, Salama. The last two again, Habiba, Salama. And the way you remember that, again, as I said, number 1, 4, and 5, by their kunya, Mention Habiba first, because you have Hafsa with an H, Habiba, H, Salama. We mentioned to you, the way you remember number 6, do you remember Abu Tariq? Is that the next 6 and 7, their names start with an S, as S in English, X in English, but actually their name start with a Saad, but it's an S in English, and that is Soda, with an S and a Saad, Soda and Safiya. And I told you, when you come to number 6, you just remember through association like you're drinking soda, although her name is Soda. One time I was translating for a sheikh. He's died, rahmatullahi alayhi. He was very old, and he was from a Gulf country. And in that Gulf country, they used to have slaves. Back in the 60s even, they had slaves. And during his childhood, they had something similar to slavery. And I was translating for him, and when he mentioned her name, I called her Soda. That's how I pronounced it. I said, the sheikh, he mentioned that the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Soda. And he said, not Soda, it's Soda. Soda means black. She wasn't black, she was white and beautiful. I didn't even translate it anymore. I just looked at the sheikh like black and beautiful, white and beautiful. She was black, like black was ugly. I will never forget that. But I don't think he meant it in that way. I think he meant it in the way, some other way. But I hesitated, and I looked at him, and everybody in the audience, they knew what they knew. And I did that because although we respect that sheikh, he was a good sheikh as well. His knowledge was really strong. He was a good sheikh on the Sunnah and so forth and so on. But everybody can make mistakes and say things that are wrong. I'll never forget that. So don't say Soda. It's Soda bintu Zam'a. So Soda and Safiya. I'm going to say it, you're going to say it. Habiba, Salama, Soda, Safiya. We're going to do it together, right? So Soda, Safiya. From the beginning. Khadija, Aisha, Hafsa, Habiba, Salama, Soda, Safiya. So from the beginning, I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. The next 2 is easy. That is 7. The next 2 easy. You remember Abu Tariq? Both of them have the same name, which is Zainab. Soda, Safiya, Zainab. Just remember Zainab. One is Zainab bintu Jahsh and Zainab bintu Khuzaymah. He had 2 wives called Zainab. He had a daughter, Zainab. There were a lot of Zainabs. So when Zainab, the wife of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, came to the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she knocked on the door to get permission, it was said, "Who is it?" And she said, "Zainab." And he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Which Zainab are you?" Which he made a nice thing, make it ismu tasghir, to make it tahbib. Which Zainab are you? Which Zainab? Because there were a lot of Zainabs during this time. His daughter, this lady, that a lot of women. He said, "Which Zainab are you?" She said, "The wife of Abdullah bin Mas'ud." He let her in. She said, "Ya Rasulullah, can I give sadaqah to my husband? Can I give sadaqah to my family members? Can I give sadaqah to my family members?" He said, "Yeah, you can give sadaqah to your family members. And if you do, you get a double reward." The reward for sadaqah and the reward for silat rahm, connecting your ties of relationship. So anyway, we have Sauda, Safiya, Zainab. From the beginning, Ikhwan, let's do this together. They did a much better job in Ramadan. We did a much better job. There was a jama'ah. It was a jama'ah. Maybe we was fasting. I don't know. But this masjid was resonating that day. I remember that. Khadija, Aisha, Hafsa, Habiba, Salama, Sauda, Safiya, Zainab. I'm going to count to 3. Stay together. 1, 2, 3. Good job. And the last two, you just have to remember the last 2 because there's no real rhyme or reason for the last 2. You have to remember how. Maybe you have an auntie with that name. Maybe you have a daughter with that name. Maybe you know your brother have a daughter with this name, your sister. Someone you went to school with had this name. She's from your jiran. She has these 2 names, the last 2. You just have to remember. Don't say anything because Abu Tariq has memorized. The last 2 wives of Rasulullah that when he died, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, these 2 women were under his authority. Anybody have a clue what their 2 names are? Maymuna and who else? Sheikh said Maymuna because he knows my Maymuna. And it's one more. The last one, Tariq. Juwayriya. Maymuna and Juwayriya. You just have to memorize those 2. You know anybody by the name of Maymuna? So you know my daughter Maymuna. You know anybody with the name Juwayriya? Anybody know a Juwayriya? Juwayriya. Yeah. You don't know a Juwayriya? Juwayriya is a popular name. In Islam, I know a few Juwayriyas. Huh? With the Muslims in the UK. I know a few Juwayriyas, little girls. Juwayriya. Yeah, Juwayriya is a pretty popular name. But compared to the other ones, it's not that popular. Juwayriya is like a little girl, a little small girl. The meaning is a nice name. Like a Jariya. The young slave girl who her master was a companion slapped in the face. And then he got upset and slapped her in her face. And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam asked that lady, where is Allah? He asked her, Jariya. Where is he said, Ya Rasulullah, I had a Jariya. And I got overtaken with anger. And I slapped her because she let my sheep go off. And the wolf took my sheep and ate it. That's my money. So I got upset and I slapped the Jariya. He said, where's she at, bro? He asked that Jariya, the little girl, where is Allah? She said, over the heavens. He said, and who am I? She said, you're Rasulullah. He said to her, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to the man, free her, because she's a mu'minah. She has the correct aqidah. She understands correctly. So the point here is, she was a Jariya, a little small girl. So Juwayriya, that's what it means. A little smaller girl. Ismu tasghir. And they do that, the Arabs, to either disrespect someone or to show their love for a person. To disrespect someone or to show their love for a person. Like Beni, it's the son, but you call him Bunayya, the little son. And it's to show affection, love and affection. So we have Maymuna, Juwayriya. That's 5. Sauda, Safiya, Zainab, Habiba, Zainab, Maymuna, and Juwayriya. I'll say it and you guys say it. Khadija, Aisha, Hafsa, Habiba, Salama, Sauda, Safiya, Zainab, Zainab, Maymuna, Juwayriya. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Khadija, Aisha, Hafsa, Habiba, Salama, Sauda, Safiya, Zainab bintu Jahsh, Zainab bintu Khuzaima, Maymuna and Juwayriya. Maymuna and Juwayriya. And as I mentioned, concerning these 11 women, when the Prophet died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't divorce these women like they were with him. He married a woman, Rayhana. He married a woman, and some people gave her bad advice and told her when the Prophet comes to you to let him know, to say that there's a bad smell coming from him. And she said, A'udhu billahi mink. I seek refuge in Allah from you. And he divorced her as a result of that. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so she's outside of his responsibility. So those 11 are the ones who he was pleased with, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they were the ones who are considered to be the ummuhatul mu'mineen. Now again, Ikhwani, I'm going to tell you again, you won't forget this if you keep saying it. I don't even have to say it every day, but if you share this with your wives, you share it with your children, you share it with people who you know, it's information. It's information. You won't forget it. But if you leave this place, you just leave it in your head, it won't be as clear to you moving forward. Brother Abu Talib, he remembered it from that time to this day. And I would think he said it to somebody. He said it to somebody. So this is the last time I want to mention it. One more time, just one more time. And try to do it together. Slow down and intentionally try to do it together. We'll all say it together. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Khadija, Aisha, Hafsa, Habiba, Salama, Sauda, Safiya, Zainab, Maymuna, Juwayriya. Those 11. All right. So that's what we want to share with you brothers today. In our Aqidah, we love the people of the Sunnah. We love the people of the Ahlul Bayt. The Ahlul Bayt of Rasulullah are his followers, his atba'. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. That's not talking about his Ahlul Bayt family. That's talking about his followers. But his Ahlul Bayt are from amongst them. His Ahlul Bayt are from amongst them. Some scholars said it's just them. But no, there's no dalil that it's just them. It's for everybody in this ummah who has gone and who's present and who's to come, inshallah. And they are the followers of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From his ummah, the ummah of al-istijaba. Those people who have accepted the call that he gave. And not the people from his ummah of a dawah. All of those people who have come after he was born and died, everybody who's born after that are from his ummah of a dawah, the ones who are responsible for taking his dawah. So we love Ahlul Bayt, all of them, past and present, but especially the wives of Rasulullah. The companion, his name was Zayd ibn al-Arqam. Zayd ibn al-Arqam. He asked, and who is Ahlul Bayt? He was told his wives are from Ahlul Bayt. And his uncles, Al-Abbas, Hamza, all of those people are from Ahlul Bayt of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. Okay, brothers, if you brothers have any questions, you can ask your question, inshallah. كان عندكم شيء